Southern England, early June 1944. Across the fields of Kent, an American army appears to be forming. Tanks stand near roads, aircraft sit on open airfields, and radio signals move steadily across the countryside. German reconnaissance photographs show clear unit markings and organized camps facing the Pas-de-Calais. Intelligence reports list one name in command, General George S. Patton. To German planners, Patton means attack, so their strongest forces wait in northern France for an invasion that never comes. While real Allied troops prepare to land in Normandy, the most closely watched army in Europe remains in place, fully visible, carefully maintained, and entirely false, setting the stage for a mistake that will shape the war. By late 1943, the war in Europe had reached a turning point. Germany was no longer advancing, but it was far from defeated. On the Eastern Front, the Red Army was pushing west after Stalingrad and Kursk. In the air, Allied bombers were striking German cities and factories almost every day. Yet in Western Europe, the German army still held firm control. France, Belgium, and the Netherlands remained occupied, protected by hundreds of thousands of troops and a long system of coastal defenses known as the Atlantic Wall. Adolf Hitler believed the next major Allied move would be an invasion of Western Europe. He knew it was coming, but not where. This question dominated German planning. The English Channel offered several possible landing areas, but one stood out above all others, Pas-de-Calais. It was the shortest crossing from England to France. It had good ports, direct roads to Germany, and space to move large armored formations. For German planners, it made sense that the Allies would strike there. Because of this belief, Germany concentrated some of its strongest units in northern France. Elite Panzer divisions were kept close but not committed. Hitler personally insisted these armored forces should not move without his direct approval. He feared committing them too early to the wrong location and leaving Germany exposed elsewhere. On the Allied side, planning for a cross-channel invasion was already underway. The operation would later be known as Operation Overlord. Its success depended on surprise and timing. The Allies knew they could not defeat Germany by strength alone at the landing beaches. They needed to control German expectations, where the invasion would happen and when. British and American planners understood something important. German intelligence trusted patterns. They trusted reputation. And above all, they trusted certain commanders. One of those commanders was George S. Patton, whose name alone suggested speed, aggression, and a main effort attack. From this understanding came a dangerous idea, one that would shape everything that followed. In early 1944, Allied planners turned deception into a formal strategy. The plan was called Operation Fortitude, a large effort designed to mislead German intelligence about the timing and location of the invasion. Fortitude was divided into two parts. Fortitude North suggested an attack on Norway. Fortitude South focused on convincing Germany that the main invasion would land at Pas-de-Calais. This second effort would become the most important. To make the deception believable, the Allies created an entire field army that did not exist. It was named the First U.S. Army Group, or FUSAG. On paper, FUSAG was one of the strongest formations the Allies had. It included multiple American divisions, armored units, and support forces. In reality, it had no combat troops. What it did have were camps, vehicles, radio operators, and carefully planned routines designed to be seen from the air. The choice of commander was deliberate. George S. Patton had been sidelined after the Sicily campaign in 1943, following public incidents that damaged his reputation in the United States. However, German intelligence still viewed him as the Allies' most aggressive and capable field commander. To them, Patton led main attacks. He was not wasted on secondary operations. Patton was publicly placed in command of FUSAG. He toured camps in southern England. His movements were visible. His presence was reported by German spies, many of whom were secretly controlled by British intelligence. Every detail reinforced the same message. Patton was preparing to lead the main invasion force across the Channel at Pas-de-Calais. As spring turned into early summer, the illusion became routine. German analysts saw no contradictions. The army appeared stable, organized, and patient, and because it matched what they already believed, they accepted it as true. By the time the real invasion force assembled elsewhere, German attention was fixed in the wrong direction. On the night of June 5, 1944, the weather over the English Channel is poor. Low clouds and strong winds reduce visibility. For weeks, German commanders have been told that an invasion will come only under perfect conditions. Because of this, many senior officers believe no attack is possible that night. Shortly after midnight, reports begin to arrive. Paratroopers are landing in Normandy. Radar stations detect movement across the Channel. Coastal units report explosions and gunfire. The information reaches German headquarters in stages, fragmented and uncertain. In Berlin, the first assumption is that this is not the main invasion. German intelligence has warned that the Allies may attempt a diversion. The presence of Patton's army in southern England supports this belief. FUSAG has not moved. Its radio traffic continues. Its camps remain active. To German planners, the real attack must still be coming at Pas-de-Calais. Several Panzer divisions are held in reserve. Hitler has ordered that these units cannot move without his approval. During the early hours of June 6, he is asleep, and his staff hesitates to wake him. When he is finally informed, the reports from Normandy are still described as limited and possibly deceptive. As dawn breaks on June 6, Allied troops are already landing on the beaches of Normandy. Fighting is heavy, but German reaction remains slow and cautious. Commanders in northern France continue to wait for the main blow they believe Patton will deliver. Even as news from Normandy grows more serious, the German high command hesitates, convinced that the true invasion has not yet begun. That hesitation, measured in hours, will soon become decisive. By mid-morning on June 6, reports from Normandy are clear. Allied troops have established beachheads. Resistance is strong, but the invasion is real. German commanders urge immediate action, requesting that armored divisions move to counter the landings. Yet the strongest units remain in the north, near Pas-de-Calais. Hitler and his generals are convinced the Normandy landings are a feint. Their attention is fixed on Patton's supposed army, still preparing for the main attack. Orders to deploy Panzer divisions are delayed. Hours pass as decision-makers wait for confirmation that may never come. Meanwhile, on the beaches and inland, Allied forces begin consolidating positions. Air support suppresses German reinforcements. Soldiers move off the beaches and inland, gaining ground that could have been contested more heavily if German armor had been released. By evening, the first German units finally reach Normandy, but it is too late. The Allies have already reinforced their positions, and supply lines are established. Patton's ghost army, visible only on maps and in German reports, has achieved its purpose. The main German response has been drawn away, delayed, and divided. The result is clear. A large portion of Germany's best troops was held back for an attack that never came. The deception has succeeded, not through combat but through belief. This failure to act sets the stage for the Allied breakout from Normandy and the eventual liberation of France. In the days following D-Day, the consequences of the deception became clear. Allied troops pushed inland from Normandy, gradually expanding the beachheads. German forces were slow to respond. Many Panzer divisions, including the elite 12th SS and 21st Panzer, were still positioned near Pas-de-Calais, waiting for the attack they believed would come from Patton's army. By the time these units were redirected, the Allies had secured key roads, towns, and bridges, making rapid German counterattacks much more difficult. Allied commanders monitored German responses closely. They noted that the deception had not only delayed enemy reinforcements, but had also forced Hitler to personally approve movement of several armored divisions. This centralized control caused further hesitation. Orders that might have countered the landings were slowed or ignored entirely. Every hour of delay gave the Allies more time to consolidate their positions and bring in additional troops and supplies. Reports from German intelligence show that the First U.S. Army Group, the fake formation under Patton, was treated as a real threat until weeks after the landings. Reconnaissance, radio intercepts, and agent reports all confirmed the illusion. Hitler himself refused to believe that the Normandy invasion was the main attack, citing Patton's presence as proof that the real assault was still to come. This misjudgment illustrates how reputation, expectation, and carefully crafted deception can influence even the most experienced military leaders. The success of Fortitude South, centered on Patton's Ghost Army, ensured that the Allies faced fewer organized armored counterattacks in the critical early days of the invasion. It bought time for establishing supply lines, reinforcing units, and securing a foothold on the continent. As Normandy stabilized, the full impact of Operation Fortitude became apparent. German forces had committed significant resources to the wrong location. Key Panzer divisions, held near Pas-de-Calais, were largely absent from the Normandy battlefield when they were most needed. This delay contributed directly to the Allies' ability to expand their beachheads, capture strategic towns, and eventually break out into northern France. The deception also had a psychological effect. German commanders began questioning their own intelligence. Reports from agents, reconnaissance flights, and intercepted radio traffic were conflicting, but the persistent image of Patton's army reinforced the original belief. Hitler remained convinced the main attack would come later, preventing him from authorizing a decisive counteroffensive. Even when Normandy forces advanced steadily, German officers hesitated, fearing another Allied strike elsewhere. Allied planners studied the operation closely in later reports. Fortitude demonstrated that well-coordinated deception could be as effective as tanks or artillery in shaping the battlefield. It validated the use of dummy equipment, controlled leaks of information, double agents, and the manipulation of enemy expectations. By the end of June 1944, the Allies had not only secured the beaches but had forced German forces into a reactive posture, giving the invading armies a critical advantage. Patton, meanwhile, played his part without engaging the enemy. His reputation, carefully maintained and deliberately emphasized, served as a weapon in itself. By simply being seen in command of FUSAG, he drew German attention away from the real invasion. This strategic misdirection saved countless lives and altered the course of the war in Western Europe. With the first phase of the deception complete, the Allies could focus on their next objectives: the liberation of France, the push toward Germany, and the eventual defeat of Nazi forces in Western Europe. The stage was set for the continuing campaign, built on a combination of planning, skill, and the invisible presence of a ghost army. The story of Patton's Ghost Army shows that war is not decided by numbers alone. Belief, reputation, and careful planning can shape outcomes just as effectively as guns and tanks. By placing Patton at the center of a force that never existed, the Allies turned perception into a weapon. German forces, convinced they faced the main invasion at Pas-de-Calais, delayed action and misallocated resources, giving the real invasion at Normandy a critical advantage. This episode also highlights the human element in warfare. Even experienced commanders like Hitler and his generals were influenced by expectation and fear. They trusted reports, patterns, and appearances, demonstrating how psychology and deception can shape strategy as much as combat. Patton's role was unique. He became a symbol, a focal point for German fears, without firing a shot. Operation Fortitude remains a case study in military history, showing how ingenuity, careful coordination, and understanding the enemy's mindset can change the course of a battle, and, ultimately, a war. It reminds us that in conflict, What is believed can be as powerful as what is real. The fields of Kent, once home to the fake army, returned to silence after the invasion. Yet the consequences of that deception echoed across Europe, proving that sometimes the greatest weapon in war is the illusion of strength.